All right, we're back. JuddzBudz, Buzz, episode 149. There are no number 50s. Then
I can only think of one number 50, period. Can you think of many, like, across the NHL?
Hold on.
I only remember one just because it's a player that was never really on teams that I liked, but for some reason, I always liked him. And he happened to be 50. Now I'll check it and it'll turn out
Michael Milne in the AHL.
Oh, hey.
So we'll go Wayne Gretzky plus Mikey, AHL Mikey Milne. Whatever. I don't know.
Not a big deal, but in a couple weeks, we'll be dropping an interview with him. He's a beauty.
He is a beauty. I can't.
Fun little nugget. We asked him, we always ask people about their nerd itch on Fellowship of the Rink. He doesn't have one, but we drew out of him that he draws. And that's where I'll leave that. Everyone should tune in. And actually, members, I'll try and have it up sometime this week because it might be a little bit before we actually drop it for a part of the show. So members of the channel, you guys will have early access because you're all beauties. But that one part had me stop. And there's so many questions I wish that I had asked, but I was just so caught off guard by where that led. So is what it is.
That's interesting. I tell you what, had no idea until just now.
Just learned. But dude, Gophers are back. Gophers are so back. This isn't even part of the outline, but
go off. Please go off.
There's not much else to go off on. It was
great.
God, it goes against every fiber of me. But you know what? If it so turns out that the reason the rink was so loud and we had the third highest Mariucci attendance ever on Friday night, if it turns out that was because of Mike Grinnell, then Mike Grinnell, thank you very much, because that was a lot of fun. I think it is the loudest I've ever heard Mariucci. It was crazy, especially with how the game started, dude. It was 2-0 Wisconsin after the first, and you could tell people were on edge and not really sure where this is going to go. The goals that followed in the second and third period, people were, I thought they were going to start breaking things in celebration. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Snuggerud just going off like a king. He is in prime form right now. If we get this Jimmy Snuggerud, really that whole first line, him, Zemer, and Paulson look absolutely lethal.
Yeah, what he ended up finishing with, he had 2-2 on Saturday. Did he have 2-2 again?
You mean Friday?
Yeah, Friday, and then just 2-2 on Friday. Zemer also went off 2-2 that night too.
Dude, you could tell too, he's just got that switch that flips.
Yeah.
When things aren't going good, they were down 2-0. I saw there was a moment that I watched. I'm like, oh, he just decided violence was the answer. Okay. And he tried to kill 3 different people. And I was just like, yes, this Joey, I promise he will be a positive for the Buffalo Sabres should he not be traded.
He's an awesome player.
He's an awesome kid too. He's a super humble kid, but he's also earlier in the year, you could tell he was kind of shy as a freshman. Now he's kind of opening up a little bit and seems more open to the media stuff. I'm excited to see how he continues to develop.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about him several times on here, but he is just you just look at where he's fit in any lineup he's been in, going even the World Juniors too. He's just filling a role. And I'd say you pretty much notice him every game. And some of the timing of those goals, and then there's just times, like you said, he'll just run around and hit everything that moves. He's an energy guy sometimes, but he's just a fucking awesome player. He gives you a little bit of everything. I love watching him play.
Yes. All the yeses. And Soulier got to play both games and he looked good doing it. It's way too early to say that he is just the starter, but really encouraging that should it come to it, I'm comfortable with him being that.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I can read your mind.
Yeah, you just knew. But
it's also running on about an hour and a half of sleep and has not had enough alcohol injected yet, but that will be coming.
Yes, confirmed. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's Good. Run down a lot more NHL and Wild topics today, just because of what's transpired since we last recorded. We do have a little bit of cleanup, just rounding out the prospect talk from last week. I know we didn't hit Scandinavia and Russia, so that is what we'll end the show with today. But Z, anything you wanted to hit on before I get into the agenda?
Nope, I'm good.
He says nope, he's good. Okay. Oh man, it got rid of the things that I uploaded, so it'll take me a minute to get the graphics. But here, I'll pull up the first one, since that one's easy to grab, and it is our first topic. They have leaked the Utah logos and names that are finalized to be voted on by all of the fans, which seems crazy that they thought that they could like put this up in a voting booth for fans and that like it wouldn't get leaked, because they did it in the NBA and fans didn't leak it. Like, what a ridiculous logic to go off of there. What are your initial thoughts in that chat? Please let us know as well how we feel about these options that we've landed on. Or maybe, well, you know what? Let's start. How ridiculous is it that they can't be the Yeti?
Yeah, wait, what was the whole fucking
trademark?
Oh my god.
Like, how does people selling cups fucking matter? Like, there are teams in multiple leagues that have the same fucking name. How can the cup, and why would you not want them to be the Yeti if you're Yeti, like cups and coolers and stuff? Like, that is free marketing for you with the easy layup that you go to them and be like, oh, hey, we'll let you share this trademark, but we want a sweet deal to be like your sponsor for helmet, jersey. Make the arena be Yeti Arena. Like, there's so much opportunity there. I don't know why they took this path, but yeah.
Part of me wonders if it was just like, because it's the NHL, it's the dumbest league on the planet. Like that, like Yeti just said no or whatever as like an initial bargaining. Like, what are we talking here? If you want to do like a partnership situation, but then they're like, oh, okay, oh, sorry, our bad. We're so sorry about that. Just like they're like, wait, what?
No,
what? Fuck. All right. Okay.
We wanted to negotiate. They're like, what's that mean?
Who? What?
Although I wouldn't say that though with this team, just because like the guy that owns Utah is like very, very savvy in that department. Like, his company Qualtrics is a tycoon. So
yeah,
if it was anyone else, I would be like, totally agree. I get it. But yeah, what do we think about these options? Do you like any of them, or which one is the least bad?
I think, given that, I'm surprised that these are the three finals in the first place, but like between the logo, even though I'm pretty sure I definitely have seen it in NHL games, like creating a franchise or whatever, the Outlaws, I don't think that's too bad. Mammoth is funny to me. And it would also be very funny to me if they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to stay the Utah Hockey Club for like a random number of years, and then out of nowhere just decide that they have something up their sleeve, or maybe they fucking negotiate with Yeti for 14 years and then fucking finally.
Did you see Pete's suggestion?
Yeah, that was so funny, dude.
Clubbers. I love that so much. Oh, I'm so sold on it.
What was the one?
Was that not what you thought I meant?
There was a different one that got floated out, and then like they changed their mind or whatever, and it's like a ridiculous name.
Soakers was definitely not being considered.
Not that one.
Okay. Dude, how great would it be for our podcast branding if they like made them the Joseph Smiths?
I mean, incredible.
I could play pretty well.
That would be big for us specifically. No, I'm not gonna be able to find it, but whatever. But like, just again, looking at the if those are really the, which I mean they are, I guess maybe I think Outlaws probably. I like that logo more than the others.
That's my least favorite.
But also, I don't know. I think like the more I sit here and look at all the options, I could probably lean into Mammoth a little bit. I don't really know, but
I don't hate Utah Hockey Club,
yeah.
and I like the logo. I think it might have been Wyshynski that said it. He's like, you can definitely tell which logo they put all of their time and effort into, and they thought they were going to be a different team.
Yeah, literally.
Like, it's a cool logo. I like how they worked the mountains into the Yeti head, and it'd be a subtle FU to Yeti because people are still going to refer to them as Yeti then. But I don't know. The Mammoth would have been cool to me if not for seeing other like jersey mock-ups that fans made that were way cooler than this. Like, I don't
I feel like that stuff like that's always going to be the case where it's like, right. I bet whoever's actually going to be tasked with doing this, like doing the mock-ups or whatever, everyone on Twitter is going to have some way better suggestions. They're going to be way cooler, most likely. And that's what happens. Like, it's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't really hate any of them. I'm not very fired up. Like, none of those three really get me all that excited.
Isha's got something here, apparently, that him and Brett discussed on last week's Wildly Informed. It's an SEO issue. They don't want the NHL being the first thing that comes up in searches. SEO dominance is worth too much. I get it, but I still think that if you find a way to be more intertwined with the hockey team, then you're just doubling up the SEO. But fair. That's at least an understandable reason. Yeah.
I guess. Still annoying.
Cosgrove, abominable snowmen, A-bombs for short.
That's a good one. They should go with that.
Oh, that's great. Cosgrove's good for one or two every week.
Yeah, he's always got something cooking, dude. I have a feeling, though, that like literally by the end of this podcast, I will have changed my mind several times. Like, I mean, like at one point, I will probably be in favor of hockey, just staying Utah Hockey Club, keeping the logo, like that logo specifically. And then 10 minutes later, I'm sure like, you know what? Actually, I think I do like the Mammoth. So maybe we could just let this podcast go for an hour and just as my train of thought continue. Like, we don't talk about anything else. I'm just like, hey, guys, all right, I have changed my mind again. And that's going to be the whole episode. No, I don't want to do that. But I bet I will at some point, like all three of those decided. We'll decide randomly, probably several times before the end of this show. But I don't know. None of them really do the whole. Like, I don't know. I don't really get excited about. I mean, I'm not excited about any of those three. So,
Heat Daddy, calling yourselves the Outlaws, where you can get arrested for serving someone a Jaeger bomb.
That one was so funny.
That's very good.
He's had some insane. It's insane.
He's been very hit or miss lately, though. Like, some of the things he's said, I'm just like, wait, what? But the ones that hit hard.
Yeah, they're just he is something else. But wait, so did you say that you like your like Utah Hockey Club would be your vote?
Yeah, and I actually don't hate being called Utah Hockey Club either. Yeah. Like, I think they should though go like Utah HC, like kind of turn it into like more like the soccer bit, football. I gotta ask you because I don't know how true this is, but on Pardon My Take today, they made it sound like Man U is up for relegation.
Yeah,
like how
kind of not really.
Would that be hilarious, or would that like be bad for soccer if that happened?
Oh, it'd be incredible. It's so different than like it's the biggest fucking sport in the world, and
I know
it's probably like that's probably the biggest league in the world. So like one of the biggest clubs be like getting would be very funny. They're not actually going to like the three teams at the bottom are like significantly worse, but like I hate the Premier League now because of what Tottenham's done to me. Like, I can't believe I was stupid enough when I was younger to decide on that team to support. It's actually ruined my mental health, especially this season. And they're right there with Manchester United too. And I actually hope they do get fucking relegated. Maybe they'll win something as a championship side. But I can't believe Tottenham actually just came up during the podcast. God damn it, that sucks. I have myself to blame.
West Ham.
Yeah, they're right there too.
Strictly because Green Street Hooligans rocks. Don't watch the second one. I haven't seen it, but I've been told don't.
Is that the one that's there? Are they in the prison in that one? Because that's
told
another
they
version
start
of
in
it.
prison and they're breaking out, but I have not watched it. I've just been told do not watch it.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's not. It's
All right. Well, that's Utah talk. I do like the colors though. Like I have no problem with them sticking with this basic look. I just hope the logo doesn't get fumbled. Which I'm Outlaws is the only logo that I don't like. I just wish the Mammoth one they could have put a little bit more effort into. Whatever. All right, let's get into then a million trades that happened apparently, because we have the like pre-Four Nations made up imaginary bullshit trade deadline that got imposed. First one here, we've got what we'll call the Morgan Frost trade. And actually, I got to ask you first, though, Z, did you see the Bop It bit from Gritty? I don't know if it was no, it was before this weekend. It was sometime last week, I think. So he is down by the glass and he's like playing Bop It, like it's yelling like Bop It. And he's like twisting it, and like he has a physical Bop It. But then all of a sudden, a fan of the opposing team comes out. They're like, kick him, punch him. And he like goes and gets a taser and tases him. And then goes back to just casually playing Bop It. It's so good. It's so good. I would show it on the screen, but I know we would get demonetized immediately, so I'm just not going to do that.
I will never not love Gritty. He is like, since coming into the league, it has just been banger after banger after banger. He got arrested, literally. Like, he is insane. And it's such a funny, like, just idea for a mascot where it's like, we don't even know what the fuck he is. I don't know. It's just Philly. Like, it's just Philadelphia. So he is, I can't get enough.
Yes. But what do you make of this trade here? So Calgary gets Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. Philly gets in return Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelche, 2025 second, and a 2028 seventh. I'm really excited to see who that turns into.
Yeah, I was pretty thrown off when this one, because again, pretty much mostly because I just like rarely pay attention at this point. But then this one like came across, and it's like, I guess there's a few ways to look at it. Like long term, if you're Philly, you probably get a little bit more like flexibility with your cap, especially with like, I think it's Farabee's cap hit goes up maybe, or I think, I can't remember. But like Kuzmenko literally came over here, had one or two really good years at Vancouver, and like just hasn't been the same since. I like Jacob Pelche, which, and like his, like it's, I did not see his reaction coming, where he was like, there's just so many stories about like how emotional he was finding out he got traded, and then like everyone else in the room, I guess he's a pretty loved guy in that room in general, but I like him as a player. And obviously you get a couple more picks, but I don't know. I've always liked Farabee. Frost, it was either hit or miss. Long-term, Philly gets a little bit more flexibility cap-wise, obviously. And I mean, Calgary gets two guys that can play right now. They're younger. And I don't know. Calgary's like, we were talking so much shit about them at the start of the year, and they just like,
but hey,
fine.
We had one caveat, did we not?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that caveat has proven out to be the reason that they are in the thick of things. Like,
right.
Wolf is not only like doing the job, like he might be a stud.
Yeah, he's been really good, really, really good. I can't believe
they're saying
how
that,
solid.
Like, they're saying that everyone like wants to like re-sign there now because of Wolf, which is crazy. And now they're making moves like this. So is it true? Because I saw some people say that the Kuzmenko piece is partially due to him previously playing with Mishkov.
Yeah, like that's been thrown out there too. Like, yeah, they both were at Scott at the same time for a little bit, actually. Like, not even all that often, or not that like, not a ton of time, but there's obviously like that connection there. So like, I don't know. It was the pieces getting moved. I didn't really expect to get moved. So I thought that was like a very interesting part of this. And again, like, I think both sides look at it and it kind of like, I don't know. I'm curious to see how like Philly fans I wonder how they feel about this. I mean, we've seen like a couple really fucking good years. Like Joel Farabee's an awesome player. It's been tougher this year. I think last year he had a bit of a up and down year too. And Morgan Frost feels like he just hasn't been given a very long leash.
Yeah, he's gonna get the rope in Calgary.
Right. And I think, we've seen a lot of really good performances this year from Morgan Frost. And like, I remember when he got drafted, that was a player that I really, really liked. So be curious to see like what role he gets in Calgary. Again, probably going to be more substantial than he was getting in Philly, and like probably going to be scratched less by John Tortorella.
Do you give any credence to Friedman hasn't reported it, but he's like hinted that he thinks part of this might, or wait, I don't know if it was Friedman or Merrick at this point now, but hinting that this is really just them clearing up the depth down the middle because they are going to give Jet Luchenko every chance possible to be in the starting lineup next year.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly wanted him to make.
Like, is this a Marco Rossi type dilemma that we're watching unfold in front of our eyes? Is he the next one out like this? Well, we'll get into that later. We don't need to get too far off the rails yet. But okay, so I mean, you think it's a Calgary win, but not like a crazy win? It's more just a surprising trade?
Yeah, again, because like when you look at like what it does for Philly longer term, like with the flexibility, obviously, just like with the cap, and the potential of both of those guys end up signing, and well, Morgan Frost especially, like potentially signing a big deal, and you're still not sure. I mean, there you go. Now we're going back to like the Rossi thing. I'm sure they're wondering how comfortable they are with like any like big number for him. But again, I still think he's a really good player. So again, I do get it from Philly's side, but obviously the immediate impact right now, you're probably favoring Calgary, I think. But
yeah,
I don't know. At the same time, like Kuzmenko, we'll see what he does there. But like, I really do like the Pelche piece, so it's interesting.
Fair enough. Well, let's get into Vancouver for the next 7 trades. First one up, we've got the JT Miller trade. Let's break it down. Rangers get JT Miller, Eric Brandstrom, and Jackson Dorrington. Vancouver gets Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, and a 2025 first. Am I crazy for thinking that like Vancouver got boned pretty heavy on this?
Like just given how much like all the talk about JT Miller and like how many teams potentially would have been like wanting to get him desperately. Like I do think they would have. I was expecting a bigger return, obviously.
Isha, if you can't read, Chris Tanev drew this. It's right there on the corner of the paper.
So funny. I can't get over that one.
No, this was actually submitted by Mikey Millen a couple days ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Like if Hedl can stay healthy, which has been a big question mark for several years now, I guess, then that's a really good piece, obviously. But yeah, I was shocked that they didn't get that they not only gave up JT Miller, but also like part ways with 2 other assets, and it doesn't really seem like that affected the return whatsoever.
What happened to Brandstrom, by the way? Like he was pretty highly touted a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he was the big key piece in that Carlson deal, like initially,
which is crazy.
Or Stone. I think Mark Stone to Vegas.
I don't know. All of the like ejections from Ottawa just blend together for me.
I know,
but yeah.
But yeah, it was a Stone trade because it was Vegas. Yeah, I don't know. I think he just. Those types of players, it's so interesting where it's like you see so much upside in them. And like those undersized, like offensive. I mean, he's not even that small, I guess. He's just light, but like I know he took a few big hits early in his career. He got hurt a few times, and I just don't think he ever really recovered fully. I mean, like again, even in Ottawa when he was there, like there were a few stretches where he put together like a few good games or like a decent stretch of games. But he's obviously never even come close to matching like those expectations that we had, which is just like, because again, like he was the big key piece in that Stone deal. And it was like, I feel like I remember at that time too. It's like I don't really love this trade for Ottawa, but at least they get like Brandstrom, which is like supposedly supposed to be like a top prospect. Just never panned out that way, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy watching. Like, I mean, he's been on like 2 or 3 teams now, or 4 teams maybe. He hasn't been able to get a footing anywhere, but I don't know. But again, I thought he was gonna get way more of a return.
Yeah. 100%. I also have not watched Victor Mancini at all. Like I'm not familiar with his game. Cole says Mancini is very good in my eyes. Maybe rose-colored glasses with Omaha, but he's super fun to watch. Like, is this a notable piece that Vancouver's getting, or is it just a solid prospect and it still doesn't really balance the trade at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, I'm going to do the 5th round pick, but 6'3", right shot D-man, decent skater.
Kaprizov was a 5th round pick.
What?
Kaprizov was a 5th round pick.
He's Kirill Kaprizov, just on D. Yeah, I don't know. He's a nice piece. Again, like I think he's played a handful of games this year. So I think like he's potentially close to being like a full-time NHL guy in general. But I mean, they boost up a little bit on their back end. Like I think down the line, he's a decent 5 guy, probably maybe 4 or 5. But like, there's a lot of tools there that are pretty intriguing. So like, again, assuming Chytil can get healthy and stay healthy, obviously long term. I can't remember if he just signed. I feel like did he just sign recently?
I actually really like Filip Chytil. Like I think that that's a solid piece to get as part of this trade. I just thought there would be way more things added in with it. But like he's a guy that I've always liked, especially if health isn't an issue. Yeah, I think he just extended a year ago. Yeah.
Again, it is like they, in order to make this trade look
okay,
I guess like you are really banking on Chytil staying healthy, and also you're also banking like on the fact that this clash between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson like was so legit to the point where it was affecting Pettersson's like overall play. I desperately needed Pettersson to get a hat trick like first game without Miller, but obviously I don't think they get a point that game. But like it'll be interesting to see Pettersson the next like 10-15 games. But again, in order for this trade to look a lot better, like you desperately need Chytil to stay healthy because he's a legit player and he's going to be a nice piece there. And I mean, like, you really need Pettersson to take off. It's like, hey, you kind of got what you wanted here, which that's another thing too. I feel like he's going to continue just being absolutely maligned by half of that fan base. And that's not a fun fan base to have like all over you. I mean, I do think like at the end of the day, if you really feel like you can't make, like if they got to the point which they did, that they couldn't make that relationship work or whatever, like it would have been crazy for me if they had gone the other way with that.
It would have been even better if they traded both.
They're like, all right.
And it's not even a matter of like them obviously clashing and there being ill will, but like it couldn't be worse for him that Miller went and torched right away the second he got to New York, because that's why half the fan base will be maligned against him, right? It's like, look how good this guy is. You need to be that good now if it's worth us trading him away. I'll say though, in like to keep Isha from self-harm, Chytil fits pretty well as a 2 if he pans out the way that we think he can. Like with Miller and Pettersson, you almost have the battle for the 1C, and like that can be a good thing. But that's also probably part of why they're butting heads too, is like who is the one who is going to get those touches, and Chytil just slots in very comfortably as that 2C. Can be mixing on the power play if that's really like what you're needing, but I think they've got enough offensively minded bodies that they don't even need to throw him in on that.
Yeah, and I mean, you also look at it like he's 25 years old. Pretty nice that he scores in his debut. So that works. But like, yeah, I think also, like longer term, like getting Chytil, it's just like it's going to be the health thing. Like, what was it? Last year he played 10 games.
Yeah, but last year was like the bad year, wasn't it?
Right. And I mean, year before that, I played 74 games, 22 goals, 23 assists, plus 15, like playing like just over 14 and a half minutes a night. So he's going to get like even more rope here, assuming again, he has to stay healthy. And like the biggest piece for me really is like, what does Pettersson look like at this point? Because if he can get back to being like 35 goal, 80, 90, 100 points, like that'll mean a lot, obviously. Like that's how legit this whole riff was in the first place, which again to me is fascinating that it was like so toxic. Right. Like I don't know what the fuck the deal was, obviously, but
I mean it comes down to JT's too much of a hardo and Pettersson's kind of soft. Like it's not that Pettersson is like soft as puppy shit, and it's not like JT Miller is this horrible person. It's just like those two are enough different that like it makes each of them seem worse in those directions because they're going head to head with each other. And because let's be real, outside of Quinn Hughes, they're the two guys that are carrying the bag for the team. So I don't know. I think in a lot of rooms, you're going to love both those guys. It's just those two going head to head. It just seems like such a bigger gap with one being a softie and one being an asshole, you know? Yeah. But Cole drops in here. Speaking of Canada teams, what the fuck is going on with them booing the U.S. national anthem? Apparently this is all build up for the Four Nations stuff. I think it's kind of weird, but whatever. I guess I kind of understand and respect it. No, it's actually about the rivalry series this weekend, Thursday, Saturday. U.S. women are going to mop the Canadian women. And actually for this week's episode of Fellowship of the Rink, subtle plug, we have Heisey and Zumwinkle live. Really fun interview. They're always a fun interview, so not much to be said there. Isha says JT over Pettersson, should have traded the Swede. Just sad. Verbata leaving. All right. Isha's not the one we're going to go to for cognitive.
The most I at no point was I like, I wonder which player Isha would rather have on.
Of course.
It's just never going to be.
I don't fully disagree, though. And, like, let's be real. It's been no secret to anyone that's listened to us for long enough. I love JT Miller, and I despise the fact that I now have to hate him again going back to New York. I was so happy the day he got traded out of there. I'm like, oh, my God, I can be a fan of this guy. This is so fun. And now I have to despise him, and he's playing even better than when he was there before, so it's even worse.
I actually, just because we spent so like pretty much this whole time focusing on this, like the return in general and like the Vancouver side of this, the New York Rangers were not a JT Miller away from like fixing all of their issues. They like
no, but it helps a lot.
Right. Well, he comes in, scores twice, and I mean, like they still gave up 6 goals to Boston. Like they did nothing to help themselves defensively.
If it wasn't against Boston, would you be taking this stance?
No, yeah, no, they're not. They weren't like they weren't like a JT Miller away from being as good as they like ever. Like not you. You called it. You did say that you did not believe in them this year.
I was right about 2 things this year, and only 2 things that the
Rangers we're only gonna and only tell people about those 2. Only tell people about those. But like the Rangers' issues are far beyond just like a JT Miller. Like to be honest, when you look at like not just now, but even like long term, like unless you are just confident that like Filipino is not gonna be healthy like fully ever, then like parting ways with him to me was kind of crazy. Like I would have thought that that's the guy that they would probably want to keep around. I mean they've got some prospects coming, I guess, but it was one of those things where it was like I looked at the return. And just like the trade overall, I'm like, if I'm either fan base, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really? Obviously, it's exciting to get JT Miller at the same time. Like, if you watch the Rangers off, like, like that wasn't the thing that they were like missing this whole season. Like, watching them try to defend was insane on like that day. Like, that game was like, I was shocked. Like, I don't know what happened to Ryan Lindgren. But like he was getting,
he's gone. Like that, the writing's on the wall there with the Borgen contract, and you know that they're gonna find a way to keep. Words are hard. Line. Why? I can like see him. I can't come up with his name, and I'm not going to. We're gonna move on.
Keandre Miller.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
No, okay. That's the thing. Miller was like, I was gonna say Miller, and then I'm like, no, that's not right. We're talking about JT Miller, and I couldn't get off of it, and I couldn't like get around to.
There can't possibly be another one.
Well, speaking of which, and first I gotta say, since this picture broke Isha's brain, I was almost going to put Erlich Bachman up, but I figured half the people would not understand the TJ Miller joke. But speaking of people having too many names, the next trade, Vancouver brings in another Pettersson, and one of the better videos I've seen online in a while was someone taking the Jim's video from Shoresy and dubbing in the three Petterssons, and it's like, I'm Jim, he's Jim, I'm also Jim. They're like, okay, can we go by your last names? And they just like wrote in captions like, no, we only go by our last names instead of we only go by our first names. It's just like, I don't understand. Like, that's just who we are. We're the Jims. But the Pettersson trade that we've been waiting for, and I'll give my real reaction in a minute, but the fact that Nils Höglander was not included in the deal means that it was a failed trade for Pittsburgh. I was so excited for him to be sent over, but oh well.
Yeah, so let's see. It's the full trade was what, Pettersson and O'Connor for Danton Heinen back, Vinny Desharnais, Melvin Fernstrom in that first round pick. Was that what it was?
Yep, and they got that New York Rangers first. And tell you what, if we're ever gonna have like a relationship like the What Chaos Boys have with Jakub Lauko, it's gonna have to be with Danton Heinen. He is like our only overlap player. That's like outside of like Wild, of course. Like, we both loved him in Pittsburgh and Boston, and he keeps on finding his way back to both teams. His second time with Pittsburgh, he's played with Boston twice. You can't get rid of him, but I love him. I've always loved him. So yeah, Danton Heinen, Vinny Desharnais, which doesn't really do anything for me. Where are we at on Melvin Fernstrom? Because I know you were pretty like high on him in his draft year. How has he developed since?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up his updated numbers, but I mean that was a nice piece to pull. That was definitely a nice prospect to pick up for sure. Like the fact that you get the Rangers, or the fact that you get that first round pick back, or the Rangers pick, which like if you just watch this hockey team, depending on what other moves they have up like their sleeve, that could be like another high pick or whatever.
Well, it's top 13 protected this year.
Fuck.
But I want it to be top 13. So that they defer, and then I get to just sit there and watch and hope that the Rangers fumble the bag again the next year. Oh, that could be so fun to torture the Johnny Lazaruses with.
Oh yeah, dude, literally.
Like that I've been on the other side of that, and it is miserable to sit there and be like, oh fuck, are we going to give up a top 5 pick? But just the fact that it's a Rangers pick too, I'm going to be very invested in who gets selected there. And the most on-brand Jim Rutherford move to bring in 2 of his guys that he like went out of his way to get over to Pittsburgh in the first place. I will say, like, the trades altogether for Vancouver, it's kind of weird, but like I think it's going to work out for him. And I do think very highly of Marcus Pettersson. Like I think that's a great ad for them. It's the kind of defenseman that they really haven't had, minus Chris Tanev, who can't draw. So I think like I understand what they're going for, but fans can't be happy in general with the result of the 2 trades.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, dude, like Pettersson's a nice piece for them. He's a different kind of defenseman than they have there right now, and in theory should be able to like fill some of those holes. Drew O'Connor, you can play up and down the lineup a little bit if you needed, but he's fine. But the fact that you give up like that first, a guy like Melvin Fernstrom, who I like a lot, he's playing the SHL this year with a Rebro mostly. I think he played like 30 something games. He's got like 10, 11 points. But I mean, he's a big right winger. He's got a ridiculously good shot. He's physical, and he's just like a smart player overall. So I like him a lot. So that was a nice piece. So again, like I'm sure Vancouver's not pumped about losing that guy. But they still have 2 Elias Petterssons, and now they have a Marcus Pettersson. So like,
I still need the. You were the first to say this, so you get all credit. But like, I need there to be a lesser Elias Pettersson trade and just watch the internet freak out for about 10 minutes.
I'm surprised that they haven't just done it.
We find out that it's actually him and JT Miller that had the beef this whole time.
They're like, wait, what? Fuck.
like they interview Elias Pettersson making over 11 million. He's like, I've never had an issue with JT Miller. Like, that's why he asked you guys to invite me out there. Like, I'm not the problem. It's the other guy.
You're actually my best friend. Like, it's the other Elias Pettersson.
I'm really broken up to see him gone.
Really sad.
My production's going down. Also crazy of Rutherford to come out and just be like, oh yeah, we got problems here.
Well, like, he's done that a few times before too. He's like, yeah,
this one was the weirdest.
This one's kind of fucked up, huh? Yeah. I was like, bro, what the what? Yeah, what do you say that there's like clearly no way out of this? I was like, holy shit.
Right.
That's a fucking crazy thing to say right now. But I guess like when you look at it, you're probably disappointed just in like the pieces that you give up versus what comes in, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But same time, again, like Pettersson should be a really nice. Marcus Pettersson should be able to help them. I think he played like 26 minutes in his first game. But yeah, no, I'm sure they're not thrilled with losing a guy like JT Miller, or at least like what JT Miller from, I guess, every season he's had with the Canucks other than this one. And again, like I couldn't believe that there was only one pick in that deal. Like the fact that there was one pick only is insane to me. But same time, really like Filipino. So
yeah, no, I do too. So like, that's where I'm conflicted. I love him and I love Marcus Pettersson. So it's like, I like what you did. You should have done more. Like you should have been in a position to do more, and they weren't. And Cosgrove says the Canucks should have traded JT Miller for Luka. Really dropped the ball on that one, which that is like the weirdest shit I've ever heard. It is so funny too, because like you go back to Mark Cuban, who flat out said, he's like, if I have to choose between my wife and Luka Doncic, start drawing up the divorce papers. And now that he is no longer the majority owner of the team, bye, Luka. And apparently it's largely because he's fat, even though he's still one of the best players and he's a 25-year-old superstar who just took them to a championship. It's crazy. That's like, Canucks fans, be thankful that you're not a Dallas Mavericks fan, because that would be way worse. So I'm told. I don't watch basketball, but that's what I'm led to believe.
Yeah. Nothing I had on the Luka Doncic trade.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
How are you feeling about the Pittsburgh return?
It's fine. Like if Fernstrom turns out like it's a reasonable trade. It's just like I was convinced that Nils Höglander was going to be part of the deal, and I'm sad that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Love Denton-Heinen. I don't know how much I like care about that current state, just because the Penguins are what the Penguins are right now. It's not going to matter. But he's a fun little player, and yeah, it's going to be fun seeing what develops with the Rangers pick, because it's the Rangers pick. Like I'm going to be a sicko with that, but I don't know. It's fine. I'm not left being like, hell yeah, Dubas, but like he did fine.
Fair enough.
That's all I got. But the next one is fun. We've got Mikael Granlund, leading scorer for the San Jose Sharks, on his way to Dallas. So Dallas Stars get Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci. San Jose Sharks get a 2025 first and third, just continuing to stockpile young talent. Like are they going to have like 5 first-round picks this year by the time it's all said and done?
Probably, dude. It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine how cool would it be if they like just gave up a ton of their draft capital and got like 3 of the top 10 picks this year and then just didn't draft the rest of the way?
They moved up every pick. They have half of the first round as San Jose Sharks picks.
And Macklin Celebrini is making all the decisions.
Yeah.
Like, all right, who do you want to be on your line? Who do you want to be quarterback in the power play? It is weird. Like I understand capitalizing on it, and you should trade Granlund, but it's like got to be weird too for a team that's kind of been like having fun and buzzing, and things have like they're not good, but they're fun. to just send away your top points getter is strange, but I don't know. People have been like ragging this and questioning the Dallas Stars. I actually think that this is a great trade for them.
Yeah, I don't know.
On, the real key for me, where does CC slot in? Because I don't know. I've said this before. You can agree, disagree, because you probably know better than me. But in my experience, especially watching him in Pittsburgh, like this is a guy that if he's your number 5 defenseman, he will thrive. If he's your number 4, it's dicey. If he's your number 3, panic. Like there's not much gradient between that. Like it's 4, I don't know. 5 is awesome. 3 is brutal. And Dallas Stars blue line, who knows which one he's going to be, especially with the long-term missing of Heiskanen. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, like the defensemen that they have on their roster right now, out other than Miro Heiskanen because he's hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
Liam Bichsel, Cody Ceci, Matt Dumba, Thomas Harley, Esa Lindell, Niels Lundqvist, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Brendan Smith. That's not, I mean, it's workable, and you've got plenty of depth up front to help.
Probably your number 4, yeah.
That's not great, though. Like, the fact that they gave up a first for either one of those players, to me, is like, I question that, I guess, in the first place. But when you've stockpiled this many legit prospects, and realistically, like, you probably aren't super concerned about where you're picking in the first round, assuming, like, you're ideally, like, finishing somewhere, like your season ends with you probably having anywhere from like 27, 28, 29, or potentially the 32nd pick. So like, I guess if you just don't care about the picks, there's like Granlund's a decent player they can plug into their like third line maybe for some additional scoring depth, especially once Sagan went out with injury. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like an interesting 2 players for them to go out and target. And the CC thing to me is I was confused.
Yeah. So apparently Matt Duchene loved playing with Granlund in Nashville, and Matt Duchene has been doing pretty good. So I'm not saying that he like went to them and said, bring him, but they probably went to him and said, hey, what do you think of this guy? And he's like, yes, do it now, please. But it's going to be very funny when this goes the way of Granlund going Nashville to Pittsburgh and him completely imploding and being worthless.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
I don't say that to be mean. Like he was legitimately worthless, and I feel bad for him. It sucks that it went that way, but like he was fucking worthless to the point where no matter how the Karlsson trade turns out, getting him off the books as part of that deal was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I was landing on it, though. I was like, interesting 2 guys for them to go out and bring in. Again, I have big questions about their D, like in general, especially with Heiskanen being out. Hopefully, he's, gets back in time to get some like games under his belt before the playoffs or whatever. But it's the back end to me. It's like, ugh. And now you've given up obviously that first and the third or whatever. That limits who else you can go out and get. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're planning on, or maybe you're just banking on Granlund coming in and popping off. Like plenty of guys have come into Dallas recently over the last few years and like just kind of performed real well.
It is a team that's really hard to be bad on. Like you're on a good line no matter what. Whereas it wasn't that way in Pittsburgh. He was kind of expected to come in and kind of be the catalyst for a third line, and he couldn't do that. But put him in riding shotgun on the second or third line, he'll probably do solid. I don't know. It's no secret to anyone that's listened to this, the Sota Pod, anything for years. Like I've never been a Mikael Granlund guy personally.
Yeah.
He should have been Cam Fowler.
Yeah.
Which is a weird one to say now because Cam Fowler is no longer Cam Fowler either, but it's just, that was one of the weirder falls that I've seen in a draft in a while.
Right. Big time.
But yeah, Granlund gone. San Jose has all the picks in the world. And we continue. Anything else you want to hit on NHL wide before we make the full pivot to Minnesota Wild?
Nope.
All right.
Make that pivot.
All right. Well, we're just going full Minnesota Wild then. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot we could talk about here. We can probably keep it a little bit more brief to a couple of topics. But we have to lead off with Marc-Andre Fleury just being an absolute badass and owning the city of Montreal. It's not even owning them because they asked him to be their mayor. Like the game started and every fan was cheering for him instead of the Montreal Canadiens, which is unheard of in Montreal.
That was like a vintage Fleury, like prime Fleury game too, where like he's just flying around the crease, like windmill saves, got like he's just literally like all over the place. Obviously, like gives his post the hug, the pat or whatever, and then like that ovation was incredible. And like,
oh god, yeah,
it's like they are very good at that, which is also like crazy to say because we've seen like the bad parts of that fan base too. I mean,
that's
like every fan base is, but like there have been some that's particularly like, oh,
yeah, that's tough. Well, no, it's funny because we're going to talk about it on Fellowship for the hot take segment. There was a stat brought up, I think, on Jeff Merrick's show where there are 9 players in the NHL who have their jersey retired in more than one building. My hot take is definitely going to be that Marc-Andre Fleury will be the number 10, but what's it going to take for Montreal to put his number up in the rafters?
Yeah.
Like they love him more than any other team, except for, I mean, I guess you could argue Minnesota because they've continued to keep him, but everyone else has thrown him aside. Mm-hmm. Montreal has loved him and he's never even played for them.
Yeah.
Does he go into the Hall of Fame as a Montreal Canadian? That'd be pretty cool.
They might. Is it legal? They might make it happen.
I think that would be so funny. People would be very upset. It would be very funny.
Oh yeah, big time. But yeah, I just love the fact that it was legit like an old school vintage Fleury perform. Well, I guess he kind of has always played the same way, just varying degrees of success. But obviously gets the
really shutout. He's gonna. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get him at some point as a guest with Joe and I. I'm gonna have to bite my tongue a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I say that tongue in cheek. Like it's more so. I always loved Marc-Andre Fleury. Like he's the greatest human. Like it's how do you not love him until postseason in Pittsburgh? Then it's easier to not love him. He's had some pretty rough playoff bouts. Like he's either a stud or a complete shell of himself when it comes to the playoffs. But when it's all said and done, it's not over here right now. I have the Marc-Andre Fleury Stanley Cup bobblehead from 2017 because him telling Rutherford, do not trade me. I will stay. I will waive. I will go to Vegas. Please let me stay for this back-to-back run. And he stood on his goddamn head. He is the reason that they beat the Washington Capitals in the second round that year. I have nothing but respect and love for him just for that postseason. So It's all forgiven, but the people that like say that he's always been one of the best goalies in the league. How many years has he been a top 3 to 5 goalie in the league? Not many. He's just never been a dog shit goalie, which is crazy as well. But what he's doing at this age is fucking impressive.
Yeah. The only way that performance could have been any better is if he ended up scoring in the empty net. That would have made it.
How did it not? And I will say, too, very impressive on his part. Lou Nanne and Anthony LaPanta were doing everything possible to jinx him and break the shutout. They said shutout 20 times in the last couple minutes. It was crazy. I know they're not trying to do that, but like as a fan, that is maddening.
Well, I think LaPanta does it on purpose because he is anti, what's it called? He doesn't believe in the whole jinx thing. So like,
I guess that's one in his cap because it didn't work. But like the whole time I'm like, if they score, I'm going to light them up. Like I was so mad.
I will hunt you down.
And if we get Fleury before he gets a goal or a fight, I am really curious to know which one he'd rather have. Like if he can end his career getting one of them in his final game with the Wild Does he want the fight or does he want the goal? I think he wants the fight.
Yeah, probably. But, well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing he wants more.
He wants the goal too. I don't know. That's.
Mm-hmm. I do love that he somehow has ended up in Minnesota and like, what's he re-signed twice now, right? It's just interesting. It's like there's so like it's done. I think it has done a lot just for like the Minnesota Wild in general, just getting like a legit NHL superstar to not only like obviously like accept the trade here or whatever, but then re-sign twice and stick around and like play consistently pretty well, other than like maybe like what, like last year maybe. But just like the fact that he's re-signed twice, like I think it's been great just for Minnesota in general. Obviously not just for like the hockey, but like having a legit NHL superstar choose to stay. I think it's done a lot for them. And it is cool just to the fact that he's going to be been here for what was it, 4 years now?
Russo and Joe love it. They've milked it for everything it's worth, and I don't blame them. But yeah, thank you, Jim Rutherford, who apparently Elliot Friedman said like he had. I'm getting the two confused because I listened to both of them today, so it all just like goes into a blender of knowledge. Actually, probably was Merrick flat out said that it's no secret. Like Rutherford has said, yeah, Fleury hates me. Because Fleury wanted to do everything he could to stay. And Rutherford's like, you're not staying. Which, hindsight at the time, I wanted it. I wanted him out just because it was him or Murray. And, dude, obviously it went south. But at the time,
yeah,
how could you not want to keep Matt Murray? There was no way. That guy was on a crazy ascension. And, well, between the unfortunate passing of his father and injuries, he's gone in a pretty rough downward spiral.
One of my favorite things about Matt Murray was the fact that like by the end of his like what was technically his rookie season, he had been a starting goaltender for 2 Stanley Cups and as a rookie, which is like just like crazy. It's like very funny in my head thinking about like frame it that way. But like it was legit. Like
he's the second goalie to do it, and
it's crazy.
I feel bad too, but like everyone says, like, oh, Marc-Andre Fleury, 3 Stanley Cups. Like technically true, but like, do you really like? I firmly will give him a 1.5 because he deserves half of that cup in 17. 16, he didn't. He was on the bench. Like, I don't know. Just like Phil Kessel, is he 3-time Stanley Cup champion? Like, sure, that's what it's going to say on his plaque in the hall, but he won 2 Stanley Cups and he didn't play a single game for Vegas on their trek. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think he'd sit there and pound his chest, be like, yeah, I got 3. Like, it's really cool that he got a 3rd. And again, Fleury, all of his other accolades trump what those cups mean anyways, but like, it is weird to be like, oh yeah, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah, he actually played 2 games, I think, in the 2016 run.
Yeah.
I forgot that he actually played 15 in the second year, or the second run. And his numbers were...
He played basically 2 series.
Yeah, his numbers were...
No, I'm telling you, I've never seen a better version of Marc-Andre Fleury, except for maybe with Vegas against Minnesota, funny enough.
He was ridiculous.
He was nuts that series. But dude, I'm telling you, 20, like anyone that didn't watch that series between Pittsburgh and Washington, any playoff series between Pittsburgh and Washington, you should have as appointment television. But he was otherworldly. He like it's not like he did enough to get by, kind of like Louis Domingue almost did enough to get by the Rangers after they hurt half the team. Like Marc-Andre Fleury carried them through that series, and I will forever love him for it. So yeah. All right, Marc-Andre Fleury. We are moving off of him. Salary cap projections came out, and they gave us the next 3 years, which is crazy. Also, the numbers themselves are crazy. what is it, 95 and a half, 104 and a half, and like 113 and a half for the next 3 years?
I just had it. Fuck off.
We're going to say that that's what it is. It's really close if it's not right. Going to be really interesting for a lot of players, but I think Minnesota Wild fans really only care about two. Kirill Kaprizov and Marco Rossi. Who do you want to start with?
I mean, I don't even know how much more there is to say about the Kaprizov thing. Like the Rossi story just keeps developing in different directions, and it's just like it's like annoying now. But like,
give me a number for Kaprizov then before we close the book on him. What's he getting?
14.
Well, I think he's getting more than that.
Think so?
I do, yeah. If it's less than 15, I'm going to say it's because he was trying to do the team a solid. I think 15 or 16 is well within his rights. And if he said, I want 17, Leopold's going to say, okay, dude.
Yeah, 95 and a half next year, 104 the year after that, and then 113 and a half.
I was off on one of them. All right.
Yep.
But yeah, so but I think that it's the least interesting thing there is to talk about now. Like Kaprizov is getting done.
Yeah.
There's money there to do it. It's going to happen. So to your point, let's talk Marco Rossi. Right now, today, you got to make a call. Is Marco Rossi part of the lineup next training camp?
I mean, if it's up to me.
No. Not up to you.
No, I know.
I crystal ball.
I guess it's. I mean, right now I'd still lean yes. Like it's crazy to me. I think it was interesting to hearing now. Like the Wild were really hoping JT Miller would make it to the summer, and that potentially Rossi would have been a guy that they dangled out. Which I've been like,
I believe it. Is there more of a Bill Guerin guy than JT Miller?
Right.
Like those two would probably be like having beers together every night.
Probably.
And it's a good thing this happened before Four Nations, because then Guerin would have really been salivating.
Right.
But that's tough.
It sounds like they're just going off of like what I think it was Joe wrote this today. A lot of their decision about what that contract looks like for Rossi is going to have a lot to do with like what the playoffs look like. Whenever like I hear that, I'm like, well, I mean, you know, we may get there first.
Well, that means
like,
Matt Boldy's also getting traded.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like they've had like 3 players play well in the playoffs for the last 4 years. Like, so it's I don't know. That's always pissed me off. And I do understand their like hesitation to go long term right now, I guess. But like at the same time, I'm just watching how he's progressing, and I mean, it's seemingly like getting more and more confident still, like game by game. And this kid's on pace for just under 30 goals and like 70 something points right now. And like during these injuries, when half of your fucking lineup's been out, in big moments, he's stepped up and produced, and he's played with several line mates at this point, and he's pretty much just brought it game in, game out, and he still gives you really good two-way game. Like the fact that like he's clearly only going to continue getting better for the next few years here makes me think it would be crazy to like even be anticipating having him be like someone that you would dangle out potentially in like a trade for someone like a JT Miller, like a 30 whatever year old guy that's making as much money as he is right now. But I don't know. I don't know how much the Kaprizov contract has to do with anything with like Rossi either.
Oh, hang on. I have to call Cosgrove out on this. Fleury did not play well enough to win versus the Red Wings the first time. That's just important history. A lot of people forget. Back-to-back matchup. Pittsburgh won the second one without Marian Hossa, who's a loser. We hate him on this show. Z here roped into that with me. But yeah, the interesting quote that I'll like, there's no additional like digging on this. I'm just going to read this direct from Joe's article, and this is basically the debacle we're looking at. They have 9 forwards, including Ogren, under contract for next year, with Marco Rossi, Jakub Lauko, and Murat Huznadinov restricted free agents. touted prospect Danila Yurov is expected to be here next year. Then outside of that, this is no longer being quoted. They're in the market for other forwards. They want Besser. They want Nelson. That is our key problem. It's not do they want Rossi. It's who's out then if Rossi's staying, because they're not like Bill Guerin's not going to sit and do nothing this summer. That's just not in his nature. There's guys out there he wants. Who gets moved if not Rossi is my real question. Because we got to move bodies.
I mean, I wonder about, like, again, I say this because to me it's crazy potentially giving up on a Marco Rossi, or like giving him up in a trade or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because again, like, especially if it's to bring in someone like big money Brock Nelson at 30, whatever years old he is, or how old he's going to be in the summer. But like, I mean, I wonder about guys like Husdinov and Ogren. Like, you could dangle potentially both of those guys out there too, and still
you want to dangle Ogren?
No, I mean, I don't want to, but like, that's another guy. Like, he's got some legit upside, obviously. Like, he's played incredibly well in the AHL.
I'm actually very excited about him.
Right. But I don't know. Like, again, like, to me, it's like 23-year-old Marco Rossi, who has produced like a second line center, playing a lot of first line center here in Minnesota, playing really well with guys that are gonna be here for a long time. Again, like, I just think it's crazy to like plan on Marco Rossi not being here, or like potentially moving him when like he's been the exact player that they haven't had forever. And the first time they go out and like draft a legit center, he starts producing like that, and now like you're ready to give up. I don't know. It's just interesting, or not interesting. It's crazy to me, like planning on that. So I don't know. But like, you're right. It is crazy. Like with the amount of guys that are going to be under contract, how many guys are going to be vying for spots, especially when you factor in the like Danila Yurov in all of this.
The craziest storyline for me though is go back to 2020 when we're doing our draft stream and telling us, hey, we drafted Marco Rossi. He actually put in extra work, skipped his sister's wedding to stay here for the summer, got through myocarditis, and still came out and had this incredible year that we're having right now. Oh yeah, and most of the fan base is talking about him being gone. Oh, wait, what? No, I'm not. That doesn't track. I'm confused. Here's an interesting one though, and Bob Holst has some choice words about Matt Boldy, but it could be that. Who do you keep if you have to choose between Matt Boldy and Marco Rossi?
Oh God.
And this is designed to not be a fun question. You want both of them here, so do I. Which one do you keep? Be aware that certain family members may be watching. No, I don't know. I'll make it easy for you. I still think you keep Matt Boldy out of the two. Are there question marks with consistency? Yeah. Is he still really young? Yeah. We've seen the top end of Boldy's game though, and Rossi's doesn't match it. I think the difference is there's more depth to Rossi's game, and I think we're still seeing Rossi kind of come into his own with what he's going to be as a player. We just haven't seen his full top end yet. I've seen it from Boldy. It's not consistent enough. I don't see it often enough, but I've seen it, and it's really scary for me to let that walk out the door when he's locked in at 7x7. That's terrifying to me.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Like, and then you could also flip that same argument though and be like, all right, like we've seen like Rossi again, he's producing like a 70-point guy right now, or he's on track for over 70 points. Gives you the center depth, or I mean upside from the center position. And like, if you've seen like what Boldy can bring, is there more there still? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
So I guess that's the gamble, right? You don't really know how much more there is.
Seth of Locked On Wild has the correct answer. You double down and give Marcus Johansson a 4x4. Although, Seth, I'm going to make an amendment to this. You got to tack on the NMC as well. But
full.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know. But again, we're in a good spot where these are decisions we're actually talking about, because that means that we've actually got decent future with a lot of good players in the bank. But if Marco Rossi's gone and it's not part of a trade that brings in something very exciting to me, I'm going to be pretty pissed off for a while.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Like, this is going to turn into Monday therapy.
Yeah.
And you're the worst person to enlist as a therapist, because I'm probably going to be doing therapy for you most of the time.
Like, oh, good. It's the most toxic person to possibly have, like, employ as a, no, exactly.
Toxic therapy.
Yeah, I really like the whole Rossi thing is just driving me nuts at this point.
Mateo brings up an incredible point that I thought about last summer and I've forgotten about until just now. Nikolai Ehlers is on the table this summer. And if I can choose between him and Brock Besser, I'm sorry, Ben Hankinson, I'm taking Nikolai Ehlers 11 out of 10 times. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I would immediately have all of his jerseys, even the ugly North Stars themed ones. Like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That would be incredible. Dude, Russo and Lepanto were talking about like how the Wild are doing way better on the road. And Lepanto's like, do they just need to like stay in hotels when they play at home? And Russo's like, no, just put the white jerseys on at home. I just love it all. Shit. All right. Well, there's the fun, not at all ominous and sad Rossi contract talk. Next topic. Cosgrove says, I guess Hartman told the ref they're not going to stop until you drop the puck. Not exactly sure what that exact context is.
That's the Fleury. Like, they were not going to drop the puck until the ovation for Fleury stopped.
Oh.
And Hartman was like, they're not going to
stop until you drop the puck. Got it. That makes sense. Okay, I thought it had something to do with the suspension, so that's very helpful. Let's talk suspension though. Let's talk everyone through what happened and then what you think the suspension should be.
Yeah, so I literally watched the first 10 minutes of this game close, and then after a while I was like, this is insane. Like, this is one of the worst shit kickings that they've been on the receiving end of in quite some time. I think what the shots by the end of the game was like 52-16, I think it was, which is insane.
That's pretty gnarly.
But like, it was insane to me that like, you knew, because he was like the shift or two shifts before that. First of all, he had been pissed off the whole game. He was going after Hamonic. Then the whole, like the first little incident there with Stutzla.
Yeah.
And he is fuming. And you're like, oh no, I have seen this movie before. He's going to do something dumb here. Hopefully it's not like really, really fucking dumb. And he did about the most ridiculous move possible in that. I mean, the fact that he just like grabbed basically his neck, it just drove him down to the ground. He got suspended in April. I think this is his 5th suspension. Obviously gets the offer for the in-person. I don't think it's come out yet what the suspension is, right?
No, I think that comes out tomorrow. Maybe. Now I'm just going to Google it. But yeah, he opted for the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Mostly because he forgot to bring his deodorant with on the road trip. But
yeah, but like, I mean, right off the face-off too, the ref is literally right. I mean, he couldn't be closer to the official. And I mean, he just drove his like head, neck down to the ice, and like probably pretty lucky that like it wasn't more serious. Well, obviously very lucky for Tim Stützle in general. But like, I don't know. I don't even. He's getting a big time fucking suspension. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if it's probably like what
has not happened yet.
Do you think he gets the 6? I think he probably gets at least 6. Well, the fact that he's been suspended as many
I'm
times, he just got suspended in fucking April of last year. My first instinct was like, for whatever reason, I think he either gets the clean 6 or he gets 8. I was talking to someone who thought there might be 10. And I was like, I don't know, 10 seems like crazy to me, but it was just such an egregiously
10
dumb play.
10 would be crazy, but anything single digits, I guess, on the table. But I think 5 is where I'm at. If they give him more, I'm not gonna like freak out because he kind of you reap what you sow. But I don't know. 5.
But yeah, like the fact. I think like not just the fact that this is again his 5th suspension, just got suspended in the spring, but like the fact that there was like during that game he clearly like he was planning on doing something. I don't know if it was just like in the moment he was like, oh, I can do this, like I can snap. He's like, oh, this opportunity is right here in front of me. But like he clearly was going to like you watching those shifts before, like he was enraged, already had been going back and forth with Hamonic, with that's like that's just like really gonna hurt him, I think. So I do think it's probably, I don't know.
All right, so if we set the over under at 5.5, you're taking the over.
I think I do take the over, but I don't know. Yeah. But that was bad. I mean, that whole game was one of the worst. I was shocked. Like at no point did they have like 2 good sequences back to back. They may not even had 2 like the whole game. Like I think I get it. Was it 52-16? Was that the final shot total? Like it was nuts. But I mean, whatever. Jesus.
Whatever. Yeah, that's really all we can say at this point. All right. Well, by the time you listen to this, if you're not watching live, we probably already have an answer. I'm sure you'll all be very quick to tell us about it. Last thing here, Mateo threw on the outline just from that article on The Athletic. Wild could potentially be in on Cousins, Peterka, or Tuck this offseason. Cousins is an interesting one. If you can just straight up swap him for Rossi, do you do it? Rossi to me is like the safe, calculated, I know what he is. Cousins is kind of like Boldy, where we were talking before. Like, upside's crazy. Like, he could be a ridiculous add offensively, but this year's been pretty tough.
What's he making now?
I'm pretty sure he's on the Boldy plan.
Yeah. I mean, I guess either way, like
7x7.
If that was what a potential trade looked like, then like obviously that makes it sting significantly less. But I mean, you're still like, still feels risky. But I mean, that would, I don't know. I guess realistically, I would just make that trade, like losing Rossi, that like if it was for Cousins, if it was some kind of trade around that, then obviously that would make it significantly less like shitty. But I don't know. I do think wherever he ends up going, like if he does get moved this summer or whenever he gets moved, you just know that's the guy. That's going to be one of those players where he just takes off somewhere. And Buffalo is just like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't this happen to us? Like, this is unbelievable.
I answer this for Cosgrove. Since you were kind of on the edge of the trade anyways, why would the Sabres do it?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, do you kind of just get more of, like, they're such an interesting team for like young players / prospects where they have a lot of pretty similar, like they have a lot of very good prospects, but so many of them are just like
the same person,
redundant.
Carbon copy.
So like it would be interesting too, because like again, like just that draft, I remember when Buffalo was making that pick, it was like from the Ottawa 67s, and I out loud was like, fuck. And then it was Jack Quinn, and I was like, oh my God.
Hell yeah.
It was insane. Like that Rossi and Quinn would
we
be
went
reunited.
crazy.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was very fun. And that's why if it all comes down to him being sent away in this fashion, I'm gonna be pretty sad, but whatever. And we still don't fucking know if Yurov's a center. We need to get off that. Like, what we're gonna get into that here with prospects. So as we transition into prospect talk, Z, quick, just little memoriam. RIP in peace, Sammy Walker. We hope you're in a better place now with a new, fresh opportunity out in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't all that surprised, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
he had that first really good year in Iowa, and then since then it's been a couple steps backwards. Obviously, doesn't help the fact that he doesn't have Rossi with him anymore.
Totally, I'm a little surprised just in the sense that like things have been up and down and kind of turbulent in Iowa in general, and he seems like a guy who's widely very liked by the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the only reason that I was a little surprised by it. But like as far as the play on the ice, like I'm not shocked.
Right.
And I mean, again, hopefully this leads to a new opportunity for him and he can catch his break.
Right. But yeah.
Rantanen could be available, just saying, from Cosgrove. And dude, did you see the thing with the little kid going up to him, getting an autograph and saying, "I'll give you everything in my piggy bank if you stay"?
Well played.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as the kid asking Jaeger to sign
I was like, what does this remind me of? And I was like, oh yeah, the Jaeger thing, yeah.
So good. Ranting on the Wild would be very fun, particularly just because Avalanche fans who are already psychotic would be even more psychotic. Can you imagine Adrian Dater? The aggressive pivot, like being furious they let Rantanen go, being like, yeah, it's a good thing he's gone. He's worthless.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
Oh, man. But all right. Getting into the prospects then, Z. Let's round out the prospect roundup. Getting into the Scandinavian guys. I believe we've got 3. Am I missing anyone on this list?
No, but we're only gonna mention 2. Sweeney's, I think he's hurt. He hasn't played since. I think he may have played.
So he has mentioned. You did just mention him.
That's true. All right, there you go.
So we're mentioning all 3. All right, moving off of Sweeney then. Where do you want to start with the other 2?
Yeah, and maybe with Kumpalainen, it's going to be pretty quick too. First of all, like that team, Pelicans, is like they are on track to get relegated out of like into the whatever the second division. I forget what it's called. He's been playing. He'll like get shifts in their top 6, but he's been playing significantly more third, fourth line. He hasn't put up very many points. I don't think he's been on probably 10 games since his last point.
It's tough.
And I mean, I actually just had his sheet up here. Yeah, like literally Saturday played under 8 minutes, but then on Friday played 15 and a half. Like it's weird. Like every other game, it feels like he's either playing like a ton or he's getting like pretty much like relegated to the bench or whatever. But offense has been hard to come by just for the team in general, but specifically him. So he's still stuck on 11 points in 37 games, which I mean isn't terrible, but like he doesn't really have the puck very often. So we haven't really seen the same pop that we saw last year in the O. Just like the opportunities haven't been there for him. But so he's on a bit of a slump right now. But I mean, just that team in general it's been not so great. And they are, again, on track to get relegated this year. So I think they were playing one of the teams that they played recently was like right behind them or right ahead of them in the standings too. There was like a big game and they got fucking worked and it was very bad. So yeah, no, they're just in general, they're down. They're down bad. And yeah, no, he's on a slump right now. Again, I should have pulled up when the last time he actually registered a point was, but it was a long time. It's been a while. So yeah.
And is he pretty much set to be in Iowa next year?
I would assume so. Especially if they get relegated. So yeah, because how old is he actually?
Well, if they get relegated, he can be loaned out, right?
Right.
Which would probably happen.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, 11 points in 37 games. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, how about the biggest fucking steal of the draft?
Yeah, he's playing really well right now. A lot of his offense recently has come from the power play, but that's in general, that's like the type of player that he is. But he's got points in his last 2. A lot of
his points off the power play. People like him.
Yep. But yeah, no, he's playing right around 15, 16 minutes a night. Obviously, first power play unit distributes the puck really well. Definitely like his defensive game, I think, has gotten a lot better over there this year. And a big reason, obviously, is just the fact he's been able to stay healthy all year long. Hasn't missed many, if any, games. But he's up to 14 points now in those 40 games. And again, like, it's not necessarily a league that like pops off offensively. So like you're not really expecting a guy over there on the back end to be putting up like tons and tons of points. I think he's got the third. Yeah, he's third on the team in D scoring. But yeah, it was really fun to watch, like on the power play. Another guy that's like, no matter how much pressure he's under, like he does not affect him whatsoever. Even as like as small as he is, he uses like his body really well in terms of like his positioning and everything. But again, it's off the rush. He's really solid defensively, but this year's in zone D has definitely improved as well. But yeah, no, he played really well in all 3 games this week. And again, now he's got points in back-to-back games, both in the power play. But yeah, he's been great.
Okay, that's good. And I don't know, I made this graphic, but I'm now like realizing that Scandinavia in general looks very dirty. I don't know. We can move off from that. Last one, then we got 2 Russians.
Just one.
Correct? Just one?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Just one.
I literally haven't like at this point with Guskov, like he barely plays. I think
he at least got mentioned, so that's good.
That's true again. Right.
Well, let's talk about the guy then that is the center that will replace Marco Rossi.
He's so fucking good. Like, he's got goals in back-to-back games, scored again today. Like, the goals that he's scored off the rush, especially recently, like, he's got 12 goals, 12 assists this year. And, like, almost all of them have been highlight reel, just ridiculous goals. Last few have been, again, off the rush, where he's like pulling the puck in between defensemen's legs and just like finishing it top shelf. Like the 2-way play is really good, but offensively recently he's just been like deciding he's going to shoot a lot, and it's very fun to watch. He can score from distance. He's just super deceptive with the puck. Like he changed his release points. But like his ability off the rush, like it'll be interesting to see if he hopefully ends up. I mean, I would assume he does at some point end up playing with Kirill Kaprizov, because those two off the rush, just like in motion, is like that just sounds deadly. It sounds like something that would be very fun to watch. And then I pulled up his like even strength possession numbers using the website that we have, the sport contract thing. His like the last 15 games, I think his lowest expected goals has been like 78%. Like when he's on the ice, Metallurg is just like they pretty much have the puck the whole time. And again, the fact they use him on the penalty kill quite often, he's really good defensive forward. But like this year again, like we saw the offense pop last year once he got the ice time, and this year he's just doing it in like different ways as well. So I love that he can score in a variety of ways, especially the shot is getting even better game by game, and he's using it more. But he's just been so fun to watch. Like, I cannot wait for him to finally get over here, because it's just been solid. But in Metallurg, last year they were obviously incredible. They won the whole thing last year. They're like a 4th, 5th place team this year, but like he's still producing. He's like one of their go-to guys in all areas of the ice. So he's just been so fun to watch, dude.
Okay, so handicap it for me. Is he a center? Yes or no? Like, what are the odds that he is an NHL center?
He still strikes me as more of a wing, but I mean, like, again, he can definitely develop into a legit center. I still think just in the NHL, to me, just makes more sense at the wing, like his game overall. And I think like you a lot less time for him to adapt in the wing, but I don't know. It's funny. I think literally last week, I think I was like, he's also just been playing pretty much wing almost exclusively the last couple of weeks. Of course, in all 3 games this week, he plays center. I was like, every fucking time I talk, like what I say, the opposite thing happens immediately. It's unbelievable. Like I'm such a loser. So it's insane. But of course, he plays center in all 3 games. Looks really good. So I don't know. I think again, like you see the flashes of really good two-way center ability, but like especially as he adjusts to the NHL, I still see him more effective sooner at the wing versus center because I think there's still a lot of development to be had there. But I don't know.
All right, but be excited about him regardless. It's hard to know based on like how healthy we are, where we're at with cap, whatever. Is this a guy that's ready to be thrown into the lineup in April? If everything else works out, like if there's a spot, if money works, whatever, like would you feel comfortable throwing him in for the stretch run, like last couple games of the regular season, maybe playoffs, or do you think that he needs a little bit of work first?
It's tough. I mean, I get like realistically, the KHL is the closest league in Europe to the NHL in general. And it's been nice the fact that he's got now like he's coming up on 2 full seasons of actually being used and not like whatever the fuck they were doing with him the first 2 or 3 years over there. God, that was insane to watch. But yeah, I mean, at least for the end of the regular season, it would be nice to like you're comfortable just seeing what he can do. But like again, like that's a problem if that's like you're going into the playoffs and like one of the things you're relying on is like big time performances like in your top 6, something like Daniil Yurov. But again, he's playing in the KHL. He's one of the better players in that league right now. So I think he could potentially be ready to at least like get thrown in the lineup, see what he's got. We'll see about playoffs.
Fair enough. That pretty much rounds it out, but Mateo did want us to address Wallstedt getting run over and I don't know, could potentially be missing some time here yet again.
Yeah, I think it was like a second game back too. Third game back maybe. Not great. I haven't seen any updates since that play, but just the season from hell for that kid. Like I don't know. I get really annoyed now just like listening to people talk about him. And I know you like are just looking at this fucking stats this season. But whatever. I don't really know what else I expect from anyone. So it is what it is. But speaking of goaltenders, Chase, what's he had his first shot of the year the other night? So hell yeah.
We're excited about that.
He had a 16 save shutout.
Oh, dude, I gotta ask you, did you see the Charlie McAvoy picture for Team USA?
Oh my God, they did him dirty.
Okay. Did you think of the exact same thing I did when that got posted? Name another Team USA picture that someone got done really fucking dirty.
I'll be honest, the first thing I thought about was when the Wild hired Bill Guerin, and that picture they used for him was
that is very dirty, but not what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can find, because I commented on Pete's post about it. Just might take me a second to pull up here. But I have one very specific picture that, like, the second I saw the McAvoy one, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do you one worse. Let's see, replies. Let's see, where the heck are you, Pete? We're so close. Maybe we're not going to get this. I didn't think I'd have to scroll this far. I hate that a retweet counts as a reply.
Yeah.
Here it is. All right, we're just going to share my screen. Let's see. Isha can trim this out at the end because this is awesome for podcasting.
I think it's going great.
Yeah, right. All right, I gotta get rid of the overlay. Boom, boom, boom.
I was wondering if it was going to be the Kessel one.
Yeah, dude, it had to be the Kessel one.
It is like insane that they're like, this is it. This is the best picture we got.
Like, that's so rude. Poor
I feel
fucking
like-
Phil.
In my head, it's very funny, the idea that like they literally only took one picture and didn't even consider, like, I don't know if they took more than one.
Or they got this one, they're like, yes.
That'll work.
People talking.
This will be good. This is the one that we don't even need a second. We nailed it the first try. But fucking incredible. But yeah.
I don't know if there'll ever be a player that I'll care more about than Phil.
He's just the best.
And the fact it was the grainiest, shittiest video ever. But before the game started against Wisconsin on Friday, they had the Phil Kessel goal.
Oh, did they?
That might be my favorite goal that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible.
Scores the goal against Wisconsin. Hand to the ear, just chef's kiss.
Well, yeah.
I think we did it. I think we did the thing.
Did the thing. Harvard's got the shit kicked out of him in the bean pot. Oh my god. Funniest hockey tournament in the world. It's ridiculous to even call it a tournament. Like, but I love it. It's so
Why is
funny.
it ridiculous to call it a tournament?
You should like. There's what four or five teams? 4 teams.
Okay.
And it's just like that's it. No one else is allowed. Like it's just the Boston teams. It's just funny in my head. But I mean, BU just put a 7-1 on Harvard. That's tough.
Oh.
Then we got
How is BU? Like average?
no, they're good. I mean, like they're I think what top?
Are they like 8 or 9 right now? I thought. Maybe I'm off. All right, we're just gonna pull it up.
I literally just had it
CHO,
up.
they are 8.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're legit. I really like Tom Melander. He was so good at the World Juniors too. But yeah.
Hopefully Isha doesn't listen to this part.
No, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else we had good? That was it, right?
4 Nations Tournament of College Hockey. Thank you, Cosgrove.
Well played.
I don't think we had anything else. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about. I think we're good.
Yeah. Good. I have no idea what we'll do next week. But
We'll
it's
do
something.
Yeah,
It'll be
something will
something.
happen.
It'll be great.
You'll all love it. It'll be the best. There won't be any more NHL games after our next one, right? So we probably will do a little bit more of a 4 Nations type preview thing.
Yeah.
Maybe once we learn all of the players that are going to drop out, because you know that there's going to be a big exodus.
It's insane.
Oh, my finger hurts.
I want to go to Cabo.
I have a glandular problem.
We can end it.
Oh, we can. Okay. You don't have a quote or anything to send the people off?
Nope. I got nothing. I couldn't even come up with a word other than that.
You did say nope.
Okay, Luca.
What? Okay, Luca.
Fucking Cosgrove.
Yeah, that's a good spot to end it.
And